So I've gone through some more of Brendan Dassey's March 3rd statement. I'm on about page 73 of this very long document from hell. Come on, folks. How hard is it to talk a fucking 16-year-old boy with a 70 IQ into spinning your version of events? Apparently very difficult for Wiegert and Fassbender. So I'm going through this, and folks, it's so difficult for me to keep slugging through this thing because the amount of bullshit is just running off of my computer screen while I'm reading this thing. I mean, how do these people sleep at night? Seriously, like how do you sleep knowing what you've done? Knowing that you put two innocent men behind bars. How do you sleep? How? Don't mind that. That's just my 3-year-old playing something. I think baby or kitty, one of the two. They're talking about when Dassey and Avery are tying her up. And Wiegert pipes in with, "Do you help?" Because otherwise she's going to kick. And Brendan says, "Yeah, I held her feet down." Up until that point, Brendan was denying having helped to tie her up or kill her. And Wiegert is, that line, otherwise she's going to kick. He's feeding him the plausible theory here. And then, we get into the something with the head, Brendan, something with the head. What happened to her head? And the funny thing is that while Wiegert is saying something with the head, Brendan, Fassbender says can't. There's 3 dots on the transcript and then can't. Am I the only one who's seeing that Fassbender's trying to nudge Wiegert and tell him dude, shut up. You can't feed him testimony. Finally, Wiegert gets frustrated and he says, "I'm just going to come right out and ask it. Who shot her in the head?" And then he says Stephen did. And Fassbender says, "Well, why didn't you tell us that?" And Brendan says the only true thing he has said since they started this horse shit, and that is, "Because I didn't think of it." You see the implications here, folks? He didn't think to say that that she was shot in the head because he wasn't there. It didn't happen. Then a lot of people have pointed out the fact that Brendan cites the .22 rifle as the murder weapon as being a point of truthfulness. Here's the thing, though, folks. Stephen Avery only owned 2 guns. He owned a .22 long-range rifle, and he owned a 57 caliber, 55 cal, 50 caliber. I think it was a 50 caliber muzzle-loaded shotgun. Muzzle-loaded. Like what the Pilgrims used. Yeah, that's not exactly, consistent for a murder. So, of course, Brendan's going to say the .22. It's the easiest to load. And, I mean, come on here, folks. Use your head. Use your head. And then the first place that he tells them that they shot her was behind the garage. Yeah, outside, behind the garage. Come on. Then Wiegert and Fassbender work on his memory. Let's go back inside the trailer. Let's go back inside the trailer for a minute. And then they walk him through, and then they get him to say that she was shot in the garage because that would fit with their narrative. That would fit with what they're trying to spin. Because you can't shoot a woman 10 times out behind a garage in the middle of day on a family compound without everybody fucking hearing it. You can't really do it inside the garage either because Brendan himself said, well, the door was open. Have any of you fired a 22 long range rifle? I've been at the firing range when they've used those, and those things have quite the boom. That would have been heard all over the Avery property. All over the Avery property. I call bullshit. I call bullshit on this whole fucking statement. In fact, I'm probably not even going to finish reading the transcript because I'm probably going to skip to the end where Barb comes in. Let's get to the truth of the matter for a fucking change as opposed to the fairy tale that Kratz wanted spun. Folks, think about it. She is tied up with handcuffs and leg shackles to a bed in a trailer. She's screaming. Nobody but Brendan hears the screams. I find that highly unlikely. Then she's raped, stabbed, throat cut, strangled. No DNA evidence. Come on. They take her out to the garage. Nobody sees anything. She's shot, according to the DA, 10 times. There's no blood. Nobody hears 10 or 11 shots on the property. She's burned in an open air fire that there's no way that it could have possibly created enough heat to disintegrate the bones to that level. I mean, and then, Stephen Avery takes some of her bones and dumps them in the quarry. What B-movie detective noir bullshit is this? Seriously. I mean, did Kratz have ambitions to be a novelist at some point? Because that's about the only thing that I can think of that would generate this kind of storyline. And that's what this is. It's a storyline. It's not a series of events. It's a storyline, people. There's something very wrong here. I'm going to go read the pertinent part of the fucking statement. I'll give you my analysis later. Thank you for watching.